Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Foxy98 here, and welcome back to a brand new video for you guys today here on the channel. Today we are back with the next episode of my F1 2018 career modes. Today we're here for the French and the Austrian Grand Prix, and I got a couple of things to explain about, so I'm going to get straight into those. First of all, the French Grand Prix, as I was recording this race, this was done whilst I was away on holiday. Unfortunately, the recording actually failed for the entire Grand Prix. So halfway through Anthony Davidson talking about the race itself and what was going to happen in terms of the grid order, the entire recording froze. The game audio was still okay, but the video capture failed. So all I've got is the practice programs, qualifying, and then the race results for the French Grand Prix. So it's really annoying as the French Grand Prix is a new track, but there's nothing I can do about it. I can't recover it. And that's all I can do for it. So at least I can show you what actually happened in the race, just not the race highlights itself, which is a shame. Also, the reason that I haven't uploaded in, I think it was just yesterday only, but the reason I wasn't uploading, basically on my flight home from the holiday, I went ahead and obviously took my flight home, and whilst I was on my plane for, I'll call them out anyway, from Ryanair, they basically, after I came back home, my microphone had been fully broken and I couldn't use it anymore. So I'm getting in contact with Ryanair to try and basically get compensation for my mic, because I've had to buy a new one and it's like quite expensive. But at the moment, Ryanair's customer services are actually refusing to help me at the moment. So top tip, never use Ryanair in your lives, and if you have, don't bother. But nevertheless, then, here at the French Grand Prix, so we're into qualifying at the moment. We're into Q2 in this stage of the Grand Prix. And as you can see, then, coming through the second to last corner, really was struggling with the final sector around Paul Ricard. I wasn't quite used to the high speeds, the corners, and how they sort of adapt and brake slightly. Just wasn't quite to my liking. But if we come across the line and we go ahead and finish in P4, this is only qualifying. So at the end of the day, there's nothing too major about it. We're just, trying to get through into Q3 and go on from there. But as you can see, Hamilton fastest at the moment, and he is definitely a man on a mission at the moment, and we need to try and rectify that and hopefully get a better result. But that's all we can try at the moment. So we're into Q3, and all is looking good on our end as we can advance forward now. And moving on then into Q3, so Sebastian Vettel sets a 130.6 to go fastest out of anybody at the moment, and we go ahead and cross the line and set a 130.5 and go on to provisional pole position, but eventually it's beaten by Hamilton and also Kimi Räikkönen. But as you can see here, we're into the final sector now, braking hard into the last corner. This has actually been a very, very good lap. We've lost a little bit of time though in the final part of the lap, but that's okay. As we come across the line, it is going to be second place on the grid for the French Grand Prix, and you're about to witness the closest qualifying session ever. Have a look at your screens right now. Lewis Hamilton out-qualified me by 1/1000th of a second. That's how close me and Hamilton were in qualifying. We were separated by that much. 1/1000th of a second. That was the difference between pole position between the two Mercs today. I am so frustrated that I didn't get on pole for the French Grand Prix. I was so angry with that. But it was amazing to see us getting so close towards each other. Moving on then into the interviews then. So Claire is obviously asking us then. So she says, we feel confident about in terms of the race. And overall, I was feeling really confident, the car was feeling amazing. And she said, are you happy to be on the grid where you're on the grid? Honestly, not. I would like to be on pole position. And the fact that I was so close to being on the pole position kind of annoyed me there. But eventually I decided to go ahead and start talking about the aero department, because it really was working well around this circuit. And again, you can see then, now as you can see, obviously this is the race results. Now at this point I was just recording the video as I naturally would, and this is the specific point where the race actually, the recording basically carried on again. So I was a bit annoyed. But in the final race results, we actually won the Grand Prix ahead of Romain Grosjean and then ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. So Romain Grosjean did the one stop, and it actually worked out massively well for him. Hamilton had a bad race, and he finished down in P7 overall, but we managed to win the French Grand Prix ahead of Grosjean and the two Red Bulls there, so you'll be able to have a look at how they all went. And as you can see, another interview then with Claire, and she was basically, again, just, was it a comfortable Grand Prix victory? Overall, this race was actually one of the best races I've recorded. This is why I was so frustrated that this race was corrupted, because there was so much action. It was me and Hamilton battling really hard. The Ferraris were going at it. And then coming out of the pits, I had a fantastic double overtake on Magnussen and Esteban Ocon, and I just couldn't show any of it, and I was so frustrated with it. but it was completely out of my control. There's nothing I can do about it. All I can do is just apologise, really. There's nothing I could have done more. It froze, and there's nothing I could do about that. And if I knew that the recording had froze, whilst I was looking through the race results, I could have because I recorded all the replay cameras as well, I could have gone ahead and actually done the replay cameras for a second time, and at least got the highlights from the replay camera perspective. But unfortunately, I just didn't know that, so I was really frustrated. We've got another contract negotiation here, so I'm going to go ahead and have a look at trying to basically mix up with these contracts and see what we can do. My first offer in terms of my proposal was just a little bit too much, so I was expecting too much. So I decided to drop off the pit stop efficiency and also drop away the simultaneous development, and that just about crept me back into the value that they were looking for. And overall, we managed to negotiate a successful contract, so that's all good on that end, and we can get back onto it. And now we are here for the Austrian Grand Prix, so we're obviously doing mixing the two episodes into the one. I did not want to upload a video where it was literally just what it was. That would have been 5 minutes or so, so I didn't want to do that. So we're here for the Austrian Grand Prix. We've got a lot of upgrades waiting in the wings. We've got a aero upgrade, which is quite a big one, that's coming next time around, and that's going to hopefully jump us above Aston Martin Red Bull Racing. And then we've also got another big upgrade coming to the chassis. That's going to put us hopefully in second place. Red Bull doing a good job though. They're now top in aero and chassis department. As long as they work hard in the powertrain section, they're actually going to be very, very quick later down the line. But as you can see, we're having a look at all of our power unit components, and we're using component 2 for the time being. However, I did swap this to component 1 just for the practice session, just so I could go ahead and get rid of the engine and just try to limit the wear. But overall, that's pretty much what I wanted to do in that section. Heading then after practice, I've decided, you can let me know, I've gone ahead and recorded up to past the Hungarian Grand Prix. But I'm starting to just consider now just skipping the practice programs. Not in terms of just not doing them, but just not recording them. I just feel like it's a little bit of a waste, really, in terms of recording time. So just let me know what you think about that. If it is, then I'll change it for probably maybe the Italian-Singapore Grand Prix. But otherwise, probably just going to leave them out because I just don't see the point in them. Moving on into qualifying then. So our first flying lap was not good, and this is in the intermediate conditions. And I only managed to qualify in 13th place. So as you can see here, going very, very wide through turn 1 and losing a hell of a lot of time on the back end there, just struggling for the overall grip. I wasn't expecting it to be this damp on the track, but we are P15 at the moment. We are in danger of being knocked out in Q1, so I went out again, and eventually we improved on our lap time. It was still a really poor lap, really scruffy there, but it is P8 on the grid, and that's enough to get us into Q2, so a little bit of a scare into Q1, but eventually we managed to get it all together, and we're up into Q2, and that is all that we needed to do, and we are now obviously through. And you see a couple of drivers actually qualified on the ultra soft tyres, but I don't think it was quite the crossover point just yet, because obviously Ericsson, for example, didn't actually do a very good job and he was knocked out. But in towards Q2 then, this is where things went downhill for us. We were pushing really, really hard. Back end just slid out massively and we crashed at the final corner, and that's a horrible, horrible accident there. And that was just for pushing too hard. That was just going way too fast. As you can see then, coming towards the second to last corner now, we're really on the limit here. We go a little bit wide actually on the exit then. Braking to the last corner, we took too much speed, went way off the track, clipped the grass, and then eventually as we tried to then swerve to get back onto the track, the rear tyres were basically just saying, you are absolutely kidding me. You want to go through this corner at that speed? You've got no chance. The rear tyres just would not agree with me on that one, especially the front tyres as well. They were just like, you want way too much speed into here. It's not happening. And unfortunately, we crashed out in Q2. And that's what it is. You know, if we crash, we crash. It's as simple as that. We did it in the Australian Grand Prix, and we've gone ahead and crashed out again here today. So it is what it is, and we're just going to have to work from that. So we're in P15. We didn't set a time. I only went for one run as well. That probably maybe what cost me. I only did one run in Q2 because I thought I could get through. But obviously, I underestimated that. And I decided to try and push very, very hard. And it just didn't pay off for me. And at the end of the day, it happens in Formula 1. So yeah, that's kind of that. But we go ahead now and we're leading the rivalry against Verstappen, but we're still losing it to Lewis Hamilton. But as you can see now, we're losing a little bit of reputation. It's not as lot as I thought it would be, actually. But it was quite a little bit. But without further ado, guys, let's get into the race for the Austrian Grand Prix.
Has held every Austrian Grand Prix in the championship, except the very first back in 1964. It was at this race that John Watson lost a bet and his beard when he took Team Penske's only F1 victory in 1976. If anything, the stakes are even higher today, with 25 points available for victory and a crucial advantage in the championship fight. The Spielberg circuit then is situated 700 metres above sea level, with just 10 corners making up one of the shortest laps of the season. One time around here is a distance of 2.6 miles, with the best overtaking chances into turn 1 or the tight uphill turn 3. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Thomas. They're starting towards the back of the field today in a car that is fast, so they'll be disappointed, won't they?
They'll have a sinking feeling as they look up from the cockpit and realise they're in a different postcode to the start line for sure. But the one positive they can hold on to is that the car is quick and they can make their way through the field.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Raikkonen, Ricciardo, Max Verstappen, and Hülkenberg, Sainz, Grosjean, Ocon, and Kevin Magnussen, Perez, Alonso, Pierre Gasly, and Van Dorn, Stroll, Leclerc, Sergei Sirotkin, and Brendan Hartley, Ericsson. They've taken a grid penalty, and Thomas. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Okay, so we're on the grids here for the start of the Austrian Grand Prix, and I forgot to show it actually in the edits, but I actually went ahead and considering I was starting down in P15 on the grid, I actually went ahead and got myself a brand new power unit, and you can see there, 45 place grid penalty for component changes, so we're going to be starting last. We've got a fresh power unit though, we are quick around this track, it's lights out and away we go to start the Austrian Grand Prix. It's been a good start from us initially, getting past Ericsson nice and quickly as we make our way up towards turn 1. We're going to go down the inside of a bunch of cars here, and we're up into P15. Just about there, and now we're going to go past Stoffel Van Dorn up into P14 to start this Grand Prix off. A very good start, and now we've got Pierre Gasly who's in front of us with Fernando Alonso next alongside us as we go in towards turn 3 here, and we're going to go down the inside of Gasly. We've got Alonso, and one of the four cities is Perez there as well, but we just about managed to squeeze our way through, and this has been a sensational start from last on the grid, just making up the overtakes nice and quickly, and we're up into P11 now for this Grand Prix. Next up the road is Kevin Magnussen, who I thought I could potentially have a look at there, but I just went a little bit too deep there, and I just decided better of it. Stay away from Magnussen, and we'll get him on another occasion, because we've got plenty of time to do so here as we go through the middle sector now here. You can see that already, initial phases of this Grand Prix, I have got a lot of grip on these super soft tyres, and I really was enjoying them in the practice sessions as well. And as you can see, it seems to be looking good for me at the moment now, as we go in towards the sector last corner here. Having another look at Kevin Magnussen, he's definitely struggling. We've got more pace here, right at the back of Kevin Magnussen's gearbox now as we go onto the straight here. And now this is the end of the first lap. Hamilton leads the Grand Prix, and he's set the fastest lap of the race so far. And now we're just in the slipstream of Magnussen, and that was so close in towards turn 1 there. Magnussen broke so early on the apex there, and we had to literally avoid Magnussen more than an overtaking move there. A little bit of bumping and barging. Magnussen getting very aggressive here, and I'm liking this because I'm quite aggressive myself as a driver as we go down the inside now, and I nearly hit the back of Sainz there, but weirdly these drivers, they're just braking early into the corners there, and I got a collision with Ocon. I might have actually tapped tied to tyre, rear side to front tyre there, so my bad on Ocon's part there, but obviously if I got a warning for contact with Ocon, I didn't feel it in the car whilst I was driving. I obviously did make contact, otherwise you wouldn't get warned for it. But we've got the both Renaults now going side by side here. This is Sainz go down the inside of Nico Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg though fends him off a little bit now, and as they come through towards the S section here, Sainz stays in front of Nico Hülkenberg, but that's compromised Hülkenberg that badly that I'm now right on the back of him, and in towards the second to last corner here, I'm going to go down the inside of Hülkenberg, make that one stick, give him a little bit of a nudge there on the inside. I don't know if we made contact or if we just backed out of it, but I didn't, again, I didn't get a warning for contact with Hülkenberg, so obviously, from my perspective, no contact made, as we now try and have a look at the back of Sainz here. It's both Red Bulls now having a little bit of a fight here. We've got Verstappen and Ricciardo getting a little bit feisty between each other. Verstappen has got DRS here on Daniel Ricciardo, and he gets through. Now Grosjean's having a little look here as well, so Romain Grosjean trying to fight both Red Bulls here, goes down the inside of Verstappen. This is going to be a sensational double overtake for Romain Grosjean if he can make it stick. No, he doesn't. doesn't though. He can't make it stick. He's got DRS. He'll have to slip back into Verstappen's slipstream here, and he'll go again. Ricciardo with DRS, and this is me behind now, so I'm now coming into the fray of this thing. We go down the inside of Daniel Ricciardo. Grosjean has made it stick on Max Verstappen as well. Fantastic overtaking from Romain Grosjean, and also from myself there to go down the inside of Daniel Ricciardo here at the Red Bull Ring. And of course, this is Red Bull's home circuit, so they're going to be doing everything they can to get a good result. And this time around, it doesn't seem to be going their way at the moment, as Hamilton is pulling out in front with the two Ferraris looking on behind. But now in towards the final sector here, we're having a look at the back of Max Verstappen now, and we're getting very close here to the back of this Red Bull. And of course, with the Renault power unit versus my Mercedes power unit, this is going to be quite a simple move here. But I'm just going to stick in the slipstream of Verstappen for the time being. I'm not going to go overly aggressive. And as you can see now, going in towards the first corner, Verstappen is having a little look here at Romain Grosjean. But again, he just breaks early into turn 1, and I managed to take a better line there. And now eventually you can see that we're in front of him now, and Daniel Ricciardo is getting all happy behind Verstappen as well, as we now make a move down the inside of Romain Grosjean, just literally blasting our way through the field right now. We go down the inside of Romain Grosjean, and eventually I think Ricciardo got in front of Verstappen in the background there. So some good overtaking going on, and already up into P4. It's only lap 4 of the Grand Prix. We have got some sensational speed right now on these super soft tyres, and this brand new power unit is coming right into play with a fresh set of components, a fresh gearbox as well. We have literally got everything to the maximum now, and as you can see, we're trying to press on forwards with Sebastian Vettel in P3 at the moment. He's got Raikkonen in front of him, and speaking of that, they're actually going to go for a little bit of a fight here. So Raikkonen now is defending to the inside here on Vettel, but eventually he actually holds this one off. Actually does a good job of holding off Sebastian Vettel there, but now with the DRS here heading up towards turn 4, this is actually going to be quite a simple move here for Vettel here. He actually opens up the DRS and he moves over, and it's a great move there around the outside, but Raikkonen tries to defend this one. He's not giving this one up, Kimi Raikkonen. You wouldn't expect this. He's really getting his elbows out now. Hamilton there leads the Grand Prix. The two Ferraris going side by side, and that's me behind, just ever so creepily closing up to the back of these two. And as these continue to fight side by side, look at that, Vettel manages to get in front of Kimi Raikkonen. That's just allowing me to close right up, and you can see it there as Raikkonen now gets alongside Sebastian Vettel in towards the final two corners here. Raikkonen down the inside makes the move stick on Sebastian Vettel, and he is up now into second place in this Grand Prix. And as you can see, onto lap 8 of the Grand Prix now, they've welcomed me to the party. So thanks for fighting, guys, because now I can get involved in this. In towards second to last corner now, and in towards this final corner here, we are now onto the back of the Ferrari, and we are very, very close indeed. Vettel now getting onto the back of Kimi Raikkonen, but he has got DRS, so this isn't going to be quite as simple to try and get past Sebastian, but we're going to give it a good old go. And in towards the first corner here, had a little look, but Vettel actually broke, well, he broke slightly earlier than myself into the first corner, but this time around now, up the hill towards turn 3, this should be where we can make our overtake stick. But Vettel, though, has got other ideas, and he's going down the inside of Raikkonen in towards turn 3 now. So Vettel making a lovely overtake there down the inside. We try and switch back on the two Ferraris here. We've got a good run here, actually. We're boxed in, though, by the two Ferraris. Raikkonen's got the DRS. Vettel doesn't have it. We're going to go to the inside. Raikkonen to the outside. It's going to go 3 wide in towards turn 4. This isn't going to go too well. We just about squeeze it through. Vettel squeezes Raikkonen out, but he avoids myself, and we're up into second place now in this Austrian Grand Prix. Lovely double overtake there, sorry, on the two Ferraris. Vettel was just too busy working and trying to get past Kimi Raikkonen. He didn't really cover me off. And on to lap 12 of the Grand Prix now. These super soft tyres, I'm sorry, are literally the godliest of tyres known to human history, because at the moment, these tyres are just working a treat. In fact, overall, this car around this track is literally my godsend. I think I'm faster around here than I am around the Canadian Grand Prix, and the Canadian Grand Prix is probably one of my strongest tracks on the calendar. And eventually now, as we try to make a move on Hamilton, it didn't quite work out as we expected. Damage to the front wing end plate. We now go down the inside here of Hamilton. We make it stick in towards turn 3 there, but unfortunately I just got too close to the rear of Lewis Hamilton's car, and as soon as I tried to pull out to the inside line, unfortunately I damaged my front wing there. So I am actually going to go ahead and replace my front wing. On to lap 16 of the Grand Prix now. I was actually expecting the AIs to go ahead and do a 2-stop. However, as you can see on the screens, Hamilton and Vettel are both pitted for a set of soft tyres, and they're 100% doing a 1-stop in this Grand Prix, and that was basically triggering my reaction. They were lapping around around about half a second a lap faster than myself. Obviously, I was expecting them to potentially come into the pits again and make this nice and simple, but no. Hamilton and Vettel are going to the end of the race on a set of soft tyres. The ultra softs could go to a distance to get onto a set of softs and go to the end. I didn't think they would. That's why I started on super soft tyres. But however, I'm kind of happy I started on the super soft tyres because we have had a sensational first stint. There goes Lewis Hamilton. There goes Sebastian Vettel. That does mean that we're going to have to go ahead and overtake Vettel and Lewis Hamilton for a second time in this race. We are going to rejoin in front of Kimi Raikkonen. Such was the pace that we had in the early phases of the race, and I presume there was some traffic that both these cars had to get past beforehand in the first place. We've got a little bit of a distance to get towards Vettel, but we've got fresh tyres now, and obviously with this car just working perfectly. The setup was right, the power unit was dominant, the aero was working lovely, and everything was just working lovely. And as you can see now, in towards lap 20 to start lap 21 of the Grand Prix, a little bit wide in the final corner. I was always going wide there, and I was really compromising my line. That was probably one of the only parts of the track I really wasn't doing well at. As we go in towards turn 1 now here, getting close to the rear of that Ferrari, and as we open up the DRS for another time here, we're going to put the ERS into high. I'm not going to go into overtake because I don't really need it. As you can see, coming up towards now the hairpin here, Vettel actually does a good job here covering the inside line. We give him a little bit of a nudge there on the rear of the car, but then this is where the traction really works into play. Lovely switchback line, open up the DRS, Vettel gets nice and close there, but it's a really good move and a great executed mini switchback, I'd say. Not quite a fully executed switchback, but down the inside on Sebastian Vettel. Lap 21, we're up into second place once again in the Grand Prix, and we're going to save ourselves some more ERS because we want to go ahead and put maximum attack on Lewis Hamilton, and this time actually make it stick without causing damage to the rear front of our car, because obviously we would have probably rejoined in front of these two if we hadn't had to replace the front wing. But onto lap 23 now to start lap 24, we're now onto the back of Lewis Hamilton. In fairness to Vettel though, he is actually closing up with me. He's at the fastest final sector of anybody so far in this Grand Prix. In towards turn 1 now, Hamilton makes stick nice and perfectly there. We open up the DRS. We've also got the ERS in the overtake. We've also got the engine mode rich mixture, and now we've just got every single little toy known to human history in a Formula 1 car. And down the inside here on Lewis Hamilton, and we make it stick, and we're up into the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix. Hamilton doesn't really put up too much of a fight there. He does cover the inside line ever so slightly, but not overly aggressively there, and that is us up into P1, and we're back into the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix. And this time, no damage to our front wing. So now we can pull away in this Grand Prix, and we need to, because I don't believe I showed it in this video. Oh, there it is. Look, so we got the invalid lap time as we get so close to some back markers here. They didn't really want to have some fun, but we've got a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting warnings. So we have got a 3-second time penalty that we need to deal with. And here is we're lapping some back markers now, and rain is starting to fall. Now, weirdly, Sergio Perez had just come in for a fresh set of ultra soft tyres, and he was rapidly quick. And as I was making my way through the traffic, you can just see he's just passing everybody. As soon as everyone's slowing down to let me through, he's just taking the advantage and going straight through them all. So here we got Sergei Sorokin in the Williams. He's eventually going to slow down for us and let us through. I really do like the back markers in this game. They're very, very good at getting out of the way and slowing down and letting you through and not costing time. Sometimes they do affect you, but again, as soon as they get the opportunity to and it's in a good place, they will let you through. Like now, starting to get held up a little bit here by Sorokin, and then he moves out of the way here, and Perez decides, I'm just going to go straight past you. Look at that, he's just literally steamrolling past everyone, and now this is starting to annoy me here. Here's Romain Grosjean. Perez makes it through, literally just following me at the stage of the race. But Perez was much, much quicker than me in this stage of the race. Here on lap 31, he's now actually trying to get past me and then lap himself, and we let him do just that here. We let him go through, and we just don't want to get in the way of Perez. We're 3 seconds clear of Lewis Hamilton at this moment in time. We've got a 3-second penalty, so we need to keep pushing, and we can't afford to keep fighting Perez. And annoyingly, onto lap 31 of the Grand Prix, I was still marginally matching Perez's pace, if not quicker. So eventually he has to then drop back and then let me through again. So getting a bit frustrated here, but the gap's 3.5 seconds now. Onto lap 36 of the race. You can see it's pretty much just dry tyres on a wet track at this moment in time. We're doing ever so careful here, making sure we make no mistakes here, and just trying to get the car home. Hamilton and Vettel now are out of penalty window. They are now 7.2 behind. The gap is more than enough to avoid dropping behind them due to a penalty. But today, the car was absolutely phenomenal. It was the best I've ever driven in a race, probably, and the Mercedes car was just to die for today. And we come across the line with a checkered flag to win the Austrian Grand Prix in fine style. We had to do it via overtaking. We had to really work for it, but we just gave ourselves a nice fresh power unit and absolutely blitzed it. And I was really, really happy today with a sensational Grand Prix victory, and Toto Wolff there looking very, very happy himself. That we managed to pick up the victory today. And it's also a 1-2 for us today, which is really, really good for us. And as you can see, Vettel there picks up P3 on the podium. And as this season gets further and further in, it is looking like a straight fight between me and Lewis Hamilton as we look to battle it out in our Mercedes cars, reigniting the Hamilton-Rosberg rivalry just with me in the car instead. But as you can see there, Grosjean looking a little bit disappointed. I'm not quite sure why. But there it is on the top step of the podium then. And Hamilton finishing off in second then with Sebastian Vettel in third and Timo Marduk celebrating in the Mercedes suit. Yeah, putting up the winner's trophy. It was a really, really fun race. The French Grand Prix was a lot difficult. I think the French Grand Prix was a lot more difficult because I was really having to fight a lot. There was many, many overtakes in that race. Whereas in this Grand Prix, again, I really had to fight for it. And also see having that penalty as well, having the traffic in the way. You can see that we eventually finished 3 seconds clear of Lewis Hamilton after the time penalty was applied to me, which was perfectly fair. I did extend and corner cut more than 3 times, which means that you do get a penalty. So Sorokin also got a 5-second time penalty for doing something silly, potentially. Having a look at the standings then, we now lead by 50 points over Lewis Hamilton, which is a very, very sizable advantage. And I understand to all those that are watching that this is a very, very big advantage. But as I've said before, I have recorded up to the Belgian Grand Prix. And I can tell you that the championship fight is nowhere near sorted yet. So just keep staying in tune because it's going to get even more close and intense as we get further on in this season. And then we've got another interview here with Claire. So now she's obviously just going to tell us all of this. And normally I mute myself and let you guys hear this. But it's kind of just the same thing kind of over and over again. So she's basically explaining, first of all, do we feel good about the win? Obviously it felt awesome, and I definitely wanted to go ahead and praise the power unit as much as I could here today, because the power unit really was just super, super effective. And I also then decided to go ahead and give the aero department a little bit of love, and then as you can see, everything went well for me today, and any opportunity I could to basically just make the power unit team happy, I would, because it was just so good. And then eventually they're just really, really helping. And then finally, obviously, because the rain came down, she obviously tried to, you know, explain, did the weather affect us? And I was going to go with dampen my spirits. I probably should have, because I always try and make ridiculously stupid puns. But I just decided to go with the other option in the end. And then eventually, as you can see then, heading up and having a look at everything today, you can see that we're now just about leading Lewis Hamilton in the rivalry. We're 18-12 up, and then against Verstappen, we're 25-18. So we're working well in the rivalries now, and we're on into a good run of form. But obviously, there's a lot of changes that are coming in the next few Grand Prix, and that's really going to twist up this championship fight. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's episode. If you have, feel free to drop it a like, subscribe if you're new around here as well. And I'll see you guys for the next episode tomorrow. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you then. Take care all. Peace.